Heartfelt tribute to Chhatrapati Shri Shivaji Maharaj and the founder president of our society, Dr. Panjabrao alias Bhavsai Peshwa. On behalf of the department, I warmly welcome all the respected dignitaries, teachers, and all my friends from MSc first year and second year from Shri Shivaji College as well as Shri RLT College Akola. Today's chairperson needs no introduction. She is none other than Dr. P.S. Kukate ma'am, the professor and head, Department of Botany, and a guiding light for all of us. I also welcome our today's chief guest and today's resource person, Dr. Manjusha Wath ma'am. She is a professor, Department of Botany, Government Vidarbha Institute of Science and Humanities, Amravati. I also welcome guest of honor, Mrs. Vaishali Baduzar ma'am. She is the head of Department Botany, RLT College Akola. Dr. D.K. Kochi sir, Professor, Department of Botany, Shri Shivaji College Akola. Dr. V.S. Patil ma'am, Professor, Department of Botany, Shri Shivaji College of Arts, Commerce and Science Akola. I request all the dignitaries to please occupy the respective seats. I also welcome all my respected teachers of the dais, all my fellow friends of MSc first and second year. As you all know, we are gathered here for the guest lecture organized by the Botanical Association, session 2023-2024. I once again welcome you all to this event. We have the tradition of Deep Prajwalan and also of Punya Smaran at the beginning of formal program, for which I request all the dignitaries on the dais for the lamp lightening and gardening the idols. Thank you so much, everyone. Um, I request Dr. D.K. Koche sir to welcome today's chairperson, Dr. P.S. Fukate ma'am, with a bouquet. I now request Dr. A.V. Oak sir to welcome our chief guest and today's resource person, Dr. Manjusha Wath ma'am, with a bouquet. I request Mr. Nikhil sir to welcome Mrs. Vaishali Badguzar ma'am with a bouquet. I would like to request Mr. Rathod sir to welcome Koche sir with a sapling. I request Nilesh sir to welcome Dr. V.S. Patil ma'am with a sapling. I now request Dr. D.K. Koche sir for the introductory and welcome speech.
Respected dais, my fellow teachers and colleagues of the dais, research students of the department, and dear students. Uh, Today we are gathered here for the guest lecture of Dr. Manjusha Wath, madam. Before that, we have to introduce our department. Basically, this department was started in 1967 under the headship of Dr. E.V. Upadhyay sir. Since then, this department has made tremendous progress under the leadership of Dr. D.G. Bharange sir, the second head, then Dr. S.P. Rothe sir, and now it's marching ahead under the leadership of Dr. P.S. Kokate madam. The faculty of this department has tremendous work in academics as well as in the research. So far, the faculty has one patent, around more than 300 research papers. Then several faculty members has worked as principal investigator on 10 minor research projects and 4 major research projects. So far, 26 PhD students, has been awarded from this department, and 14 are currently working. And I think one has submitted, and 3 students has given their pre-defense viva. So now 10 are working for their PhD. So this is as far as the academic, basically research work is there. As far as academic is there, I think particularly in PG section, we are having around 12 merits so far since 1992. Every alternate year we are having one or two merits. So and then another thing is that our department has also coordinating another department of biotechnology, and now this year we have started the another PG, post graduation in herbal sciences. So this is basically the part of botany. Okay, so this is overall scenario of this department. Every year, this Department of Botany formulate Botanical Association, and under this Botanical Association, we used to organize several events like botanical excursion is there, guest lectures are there, or some poster competitions also, so that the students can get benefit of the expertise, or they can have the exposure of certain which can help to develop their career or develop their personality. So under this, the Botanical Association today has organized the guest lecture of Dr. Watt madam, and specifically it will be useful for our students as it is of the basic and advanced. It's a mix of basic and advanced, because most of the students, they do not like taxonomy, plant taxonomy. Somewhat boring type of subject is there. So यावेळेस आम्ही म्हणजे हर्बल सायन्सला पण हा एक पेपर आहे मॅडम. तर हर्बल सायन्सची मुलं पण इथे आहेत, आणि आमचं एक सिस्टर इन्स्टिट्यूट जे आहे RLT कॉलेज, जिथं MSc बॉटनी आहे, त्यांना पण आम्ही इन्व्हाइट केलेलं आहे. तर त्यांना पण या सगळ्यांचा फायदा होईल आहे. सो आय वेलकम यू इन दिस डिपार्टमेंट ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ माय पर्सनल बिहाफ अँड ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ द डिपार्टमेंट and the college. Thank you for accepting our invitation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for the introductory and welcome speech. Well, ma'am, we are deeply honored to have you here, and we would like to honor you. I request Dr. P.S. Kukata, ma'am, to honor you with a short entry. Thank you so much, ma'am. I now request Mr. Shubham Rathod, sir, for introduction of today's resource person, Dr. Manjusha Wath, ma'am.
Good afternoon to one and all. I pay my humble tribute to Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj and founder president of our parent society, Dr. Panjabrao Ilyas Bhausad Deshmukh. Today I am being present here to introduce my PG teacher and my PhD supervisor, Dr. Manjusha Wath Madam. So ma'am has currently working as a professor in Department of Botany of one of the well-known institute of the Vidarbha region, uh, Government Vidarbha Institute of Science and Humanities, Amravati. So, ma'am was awarded by the gold medal for first merit in their master's degree in subject botany. Ma'am has 20 years of teaching experience at the UG and PG level. She has her subject expertise in plant taxonomy, phytochemistry, pharmacognosy, and molecular biology. Madam is a well recognized PhD supervisor for the botany as well as the environmental science. Uh, till the date, ma'am has published 35 research publications in various national and international journals. Beside that, she has published one book and two chapters in books. Currently, the six research students were working under the supervision of Watt ma'am, including me, and three students were awarded by the PhD. I would like to say that ma'am also working as a joint secretary of the Wild Life and Environment Conservation Society, and this society is actively involved in the different environment consciousness activities. Every year, ma'am organize a natural drawing competition, talk with tree for the local people as a extension and outreach activity. And also every year, ma'am has participated actively in the eco-friendly Ganesha idol making workshop. And through this, all the activity, ma'am try to connect with the environment as well as their social responsibility. So I am very uh, I am not capable to introduce completely to my supervisor, but in short, I have introduced my guide in this word. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for the brief introduction of our today's resource person. Hope you all are excited as I am about today's guest lecture. So, without a further ado, I would please request Dr. Manjusha ma'am to please carry forward with today's guest lecture. We're all excited.
आपण हे रेकॉर्ड पण करतो ठीक आहे.
बसल्यास आहे ना आपलं
नाही माईक नाही.
आपला हे चालू होतं ना माईक नाही तर मग तू मागचा फॅन बंद करावा लागेल माझा आवाज
हे
नाही, काही गरज नाही पॉइंटरची. मी इथूनच करेन ना, डायरेक्ट होतं ना, होतं इथून होते डायरेक्ट. मला वाटतं माझा आवाज मागेपर्यंत येईल. नाही नाही नको, नाही ठीक आहे. शुड आय स्टार्ट? आपल्या महाराष्ट्राचं आराध्य दैवत आदरणीय श्री शिवाजी महाराज, ज्यांच्या 125व्या जयंतीनिमित्त आपण विविध कार्यक्रम शिवाजी सोसायटीमध्ये ऑर्गनाईज करत आहोत, असे श्री शिक्षण महर्षी पंजाबराव उपाख्य भाऊसाहेब देशमुख, आणि ज्यांना पूजलेलं आवडायचं नाही तरीही आपल्यासाठी अत्यंत पूजनीय असलेले संत गाडगे बाबा यांना सर्वप्रथम वंदन करते. आणि खरं तर पहिल्यांदा आभार मानते आदरणीय मॅडमचं, की त्यांनी मला तुम्हाला मार्गदर्शन करण्यायोग्य समजलं आणि माझं भरभरून कौतुक केलं. खरं तर आता कौतुक करणारी पिढी आमच्यासाठी राहणार नाही. कौतुकाची थाप पाठीवर असली की काय होतं, माणसाला काम करण्याचा हुरूप येतो. परंतु आता आम्ही सगळे समवयस्क राहणार आहोत आणि अशी एक पिढी प्रतीक्षा मॅडमच्या स्वरूपात आता इथे राहणार नाही. त्यामुळे ती पोकळी यापुढेही आम्हाला नेहमी जाणवत राहील. अर्थात त्या शिवाजी महाविद्यालयात नसतील म्हणून आमच्या सोबत नसतील असंही नाही. आणि म्हणून हे लेक्चर स्टार्ट करायच्या आधी आम्ही नुकतीच VMV कॉलेज, ज्या VMV कॉलेजचं नाव आजही आम्ही ॲड्रेस जेव्हा टाकतो तेव्हा असा टाकतो, शासकीय विदर्भ ज्ञान विज्ञान संस्था VMV रोड अमरावती. इतकं ते प्रचलित असं नाव आहे. संस्थेने नुकतीच 100 वर्ष पूर्ण केलीत आणि 100 वर्षाच्या कार्यक्रमात अतिशय सुंदर असे कार्यक्रम झाले. मॅडम स्वतः त्या कार्यक्रमाला आल्या होत्या आणि त्या आमच्या महाविद्यालयाच्या विद्यार्थिनी असल्यामुळे आम्ही या निमित्त एक स्मरणिका काढली आहे. तर मी माझं लेक्चर स्टार्ट करण्याच्या आधी ती स्मरणिका मॅडमला भेट देऊ इच्छिते. त्यांनी ती स्वीकार करावी अशी मी त्यांना विनंती करते. यात माझी विद्यार्थ्यांच्या खूप सुंदर अशा आठवणी आहेत. तुमच्या विद्यार्थ्यांनाही तुम्ही वाचायला देऊ शकता आणि मलाही असणार आहे. दांडगे माणूस सुद्धा आमच्याच महाविद्यालयाचे विद्यार्थी असल्यामुळे मी त्यांनाही ती देऊ इच्छिते. बाकीच्या माझी विद्यार्थ्यांना कॉलेजला येऊन घ्यावे लागते, कारण माझ्या लक्षात नाही आलं की तुम्ही सगळे इथे आहात. तर आजच्या या कार्यक्रमाला उपस्थित असलेल्या आदरणीय बडगुजर मॅडम, दांडगे मॅडम, स्वप्नील ना, निखिल, शुभम, माझ्या सर्व विद्यार्थिनी आणि तुम्ही सगळे विद्यार्थी मित्रमैत्रिणींनो, सिलेबसमध्ये तुम्हाला हा टॉपिक आहे, मॉर्फोलॉजिकल फीचर्स यूज्ड इन प्लांट आयडेंटिफिकेशन. Coaches sir just said that taxonomy is comparatively a broad subject, but according to me, other than subjects, actually my specialization is not taxonomy. My specialization is molecular biology. I was really afraid of all the terminologies used in taxonomy, but now every expertise has its beginning, no? So now I am not still expertise in that subject, but still now I love that subject. And whenever you love that subject, you will start to like that subject. Instead of molecular biology, that was my basic subject actually, I said that taxonomy is the live subject. I always told my student that you don't understand the structure, whatever you whatever teach to you, like structure of any molecule, it's all imagination. But plant is live and it is in your hand and it's talk to you. And that's why every year, for even for common students and common other students than botany, or for common public, we organize one program every year, that is talk with tree. Just a few days back in Biani College, there was a guest lecture of Dr. Dongarwar, and he said that my one of the colleague always tease me that you are a student of heartless subject. That means animal has hearts, but plant doesn't. But he says that I thought plants are more lively than animals. They have a sensation, they have an intellectual level, because his topic was orchidaceae. And he told us that orchidaceae flower, you all aware about the orchidaceae flower? So orchidaceae flower has one of the very specific kind of structure, that is a labellum. That is one of the artistic petal, which in some plants it has a pouch like structure and it contains nectar in it. And when the drop of nectar fall in that pouch, the specific kinds of insects only entered in that pouch, and they find their ways in that direction where the anthers are present. So that means the labellum is seated just opposite to the anther. So that kind of arrangements made by the plants, that means according to him, plants has a brain, right? So that means even though some plant having a specific kinds of adaptations within them, right? You have to understand first all that morphological feature so that you can understand the taxonomy, right? And that's why this topic, morphological features which are useful in identification, is the most basic need for taxonomy, right? So now the era is completely changed for you students. The NEP policy, that's National Education Policy, is already launched. And in national education policy, the goal of the national education policy is equitability, at the same time multidisciplinary, right? So that means in our college we offer students botany, and some student has a subject major botany with minor Sanskrit. Some student adopt a subject minor major botany and minor music, or economics, or any subject they can adapt, right? Or some students from art side or some student from mathematics have a major subject mathematics but a minor subject botany. So such type of combination, such type of multidisciplinary purpose is a basic behind the NEP, right? So that means the student can achieve the subject, student can take a subject of their interest, right? So that's why when we are thinking in that way, in few days later, or in after few years, a complete education system will get altered. And that's why you have to develop some skill, some specific kind of topics, or some specific kind of skill you have to adapt. This taxonomy is actually so live subject and basic need for every subject. Suppose some student is working on molecular biology or pharmacological study, or suppose phytochemistry, or some kind of analysis of particular plant, and he is working for that plant, on that plant. But if the identification was not proper, what will happen? He will choose some wrong plant, and then his result will not proper. So for that, for each and every subject, we need a basic taxonomy. And to understand the taxonomy, morphology is the base of science, right? Here I am not to pour everything in your mind. Here I am to ignite your mind with some terminologies which are really very essential to identify the plants. I always taught my student that you are so lucky that you are having a specialization taxonomy, because plant is in front of you. You do not need to worry about the results. Plants is in front of you. You have to just describe and draw the characteristics so that you can reach up to the result. In case of physiology, in case of molecular biology, even in case of mycology, you have to go through number of steps to reach up to the result. But in case of taxonomy, plant talk to you, right? But for that, the terminologies should be understand, or you have to understand all terminologies. Then and then only you can easily describe the plants. It's not only essential to describe the plant or naming the plant, but with that we can understand the floristic study of that area, even the ecological study of area, because in nowadays what happened, the habitat change takes place. तुम्हाला माका हे प्लांट माहिती असेल, राईट? पूर्वी माका उघड्या नाल्या असायच्या ना, तुम्हाला सगळ्या नालींच्या काठावर माका दिसायचा, दॅट इज इक्लिप्टा अल्बा. बट नाव वी singly find 2 to 3 plants somewhere else here and there of Eclipta alba. So that habitat destruction, if we want to study the habitat destruction, floristic study of that area, ecological study of that area, we have to understand the characteristics, and that is very important for today's era. To understand the ecological balance, we have to understand the which kind of plants present in that area before and after, right? And that's why this topic, we will start with this topic, morphological features used in the plant identification. So as Koche sir says that it's a confusion of plants. Every plants look alike, every petals look alike, right? So that you can't understand which the plants belongs to which family. But you know, everybody of you, maximum girls are sitting in front of me, all are girls, but still madam and sir can understand each and every student by his or her name, right? His or her appearance. You also recognize between yourself by name, by characters, by height, by color, by choice, and everything, right? So likewise, that plant also has its specificity. For example, suppose the pod bearing plants are there, so that we can easily recognize the plants belongs to family Leguminaceae. If a capitulum type of inflorescence, we can easily recognize the plants belongs to family Asteraceae, right? When bilobate corolla is there, we understand that this plant belongs to family Lamiaceae, right? So specific kind of smell is also responsible to identify the plants of the specific family like Lamiaceae, right? तुळशीचा वास येतो ना, तसाच रान तुळशीचा पण वास येतो, तसाच साल्वियाचा पण वास येतो विशिष्ट प्रकारचा, right? So that means every plant has its own characteristics. That characteristics tell us that I am that plant belongs to this and this family, right? So that means this confusion is because we don't know the terminology. We don't know the exact terminology. Once we recognize all terminologies, we can easily reach up to it's like a puzzle. To identify the plant, it's just like a puzzle. If you refer some floras, तुम्ही use करता practical मध्ये floras? So when you use flora, we have to reach from one character to next character to third characters. It's just like puzzle to solve, and we reach up to the final name of the plants, right? Some plants which are easily recognized as a family members. For example, Asteraceae members, we can easily recognize that this plant belongs to family Asteraceae. But it's very hard to understand the genus and species of that family, because we all know that Asteraceae members has a capitulum. झेंडूचं फूल आठवतं ना तुम्हाला? झेंडूचं फूल आहे, शेवंती आहे, ट्रायडॅक्स आहे. It has a very minute florets which are situated over the concave or convex disc. This each small flower, which we called it as an floret, has all structures like petals, sepals, androecium, gynoecium. So anther of that plant, which has a specific kinds of structure like tail of anther, tailed anther, moustache like anther, blunt ended anther, that is one of the important characteristics to understand the genus and species, right? So when you study the taxonomy, then you can understand that particular plant or particular family required this and this characteristic feature, so that I can easily reach up to the genus and species level, right? So that's why the confusion is only because of, so there is no need to confusion, because now we are going to start with terminologies of the plants. See, all morphological characteristics features like shape, color, then its size, and number of other characteristic features are the important to describe the structural characteristics of the flowers or structural characteristics of the plants. Here see, two crabs are sitting there. Both are crabs, but the characteristics are different. One is small, one is large, one having small eyed, one is small eyed, another one is large eyed. Even the hats are different. So similarly, we have to describe the characteristic feature of the plants which they bear. Just simply describe them and then identify them. Okay. So as I already told you that the basic objective of the systematic is to identification, is to identify the plant, and for identification we have to define the different characteristic. We have to note down the differences, similarities between the plants. And okay, सरळ समोर नाही जात ना? So that means we have to keenly observe. Okay. We have to keenly observe the minute characteristic features of the plants. We have to observe the morphological features of the plants. You know, the Bentham and Hooker system, which we are still using, that is why that is popular, because it is based on easily observable characters. Recently, many evolutionary systems are there, like Bese, Takhtajan, Hutchinson. All includes another minute characters like chemical characteristic features, molecular characteristics, even cytological characteristics, embryological data is there. But popular system is Bentham and Hooker system, because it is based on the easily observable characteristic features. So this is the basic characters. When we are going to describe the plants, we have to describe plants step by step. First, we have to observe its habit. Then we have to observe, when we are talking about habit, then which kind of stem is there, whether it is aerial, whether it is weak or strong. If it is there, then what is the external shape, whether it is cylindrical, quadrangular, or rib. If it is there, then which kind of branching is there, which kind of interior structure, whether it is solid or fissular, म्हणजे पोकळ असेल तर fissular. Then surface, the surface characteristic feature is again most important. I will show you later some slides. That surface characteristic feature means it is called as vesture of the plant. It is called as vesture of the plant. That means it is covered with different kinds of trichomes, different kinds of coverings are, coatings are there with the plants, and that is different kind of purposes, like some are made for the protection, some made for some chemical purposes. So such type of structure, such type of minute characters you have to note down. That is called a surface. Then you can note down the stem, color, and there is other characteristic feature. Means, for example, characteristic features you find, you have to note down that characteristic feature. For example, stem so such type of characteristic, if you find other than that, then you have to note down that in the last. Then likewise, that stem you have to describe leaf, right from phyllotaxy to its margin, right from phyllotaxy to its margin to surface and everything which included in the leaves, like margin of the leaves, then tip of the leaf, base of the leaf, whether it is heart shape, whether it is auricled. आपला कानाचा बेस असतो ना, असे काही लीफ असतात बेसला, so that is auricled. So such type of terminology you have to be understand. Then about the inflorescence, which is the most important characteristic feature for all plants. When we are describing plants, I will show you later that which different kinds of inflorescence which develop are developed during the course of evolution by reduction, right? Then different kinds of flowers you have to explain, whether the flower is bracteate. Bract is a small outgrowth which is present just below the pedicel, right? So likewise the attachment, whether it is sessile or pedicellate. Then the symmetry, whether it is zygomorphic or actinomorphic, such type of things we have to describe while describing the flower. So when we completely describe these all terminologies, we can easily reach up to the most of the portion is finished here, and now we can reach up to the at least family level family level identification. Okay. So in most of the books you will find all the basic terminologies, but still you are a student of PG, and next your goal will be maybe a research. So for that you have to think in other directions also. You have to think in other directions, right? Because Mahatma Gandhi says that whenever you talk, whenever or whatever you talk, you should first think before talk. For what? Because your talk will convert it into action. Your talk will convert it into action, and you should again concentrate on your actions. Because for what? Because they will convert it into values, and you should concentrate or think about the values, because that will change your future, because it will determine your personality, right? So likewise that when you think about the morphological features, you have to think in broader way, so that in near future, if you will continue your research in any field of science like embryology, anatomy, molecular biology, mycology, the basic need is the identification of plants, right? So here you have to describe plants again in deeper way by using these terminologies. So habit, आपल्याला habit म्हटलं की पहिल्यांदा आठवतं herb, shrubs and trees only. But when the plant is conspicuous about the ground, it is called as caulescent. When it is inconspicuous, it is called as acaulescent. And when the plant is having very short stem, which completely covered with tuft of leaves, it is called as cespitous type of habit. So it is a kind of detailed type of morphological characteristic features. Then those plants which are developed together to give a column like effect, that kind of habit is called as jastigate type of effect, jastigate type of habit. When the stem is abruptly grow at the nodal region, म्हणजे असं झिगझॅग कुठल्याही डायरेक्शननी जर ते वाढत असेल, तर that is called as geniculate. Dichotomous, we use this word very commonly. Dichotomous means when the fork like equal pairs are there, we call that stem is dichotomous stem. When the grass stem is all generally called as culm, it is not called as stem. त्याला stem नाही म्हणायचं, त्याला म्हणतो आपण culms. And when unbranched stem is there, we called it as an bolls. And caudex means the woody monocots, for example palms. So these are the some deeper terminologies which we used while describing the plants. The directions of the stem is also important while describing the plant. So there are number of terminologies. I will tell you some. Ascending means, see the number one figure, where arched upward, all all branches arched upward, that is called as ascending. Decumbent means it remains flattened, but only its tips or branch become ascending, that is called as decumbent. We use this terminology many times, procumbent, but we never differentiate between procumbent and decumbent. Procumbent means stem lies on the ground but does not root at nodes. Does not root at the nodes. Then stoloniferous leafless runners are there. तुम्ही बघितलं ना, पावसाळ्यात आपण बरेचदा झाडं लावतो का, but still some plants completely covers the grounds. Some plants completely covers the ground. So here these stolons are responsible to produce the new tips here, right? Then repent means almost creeping plants, and stabiliferous means the plants spread by underground rhizomes like this, right? So these are the terminologies which are depend on the directions of the stem. We describe generally stem, it is aerial or underground, but these are again more terminologies you need to identify or describe. Then duration, we all know that annuals, biennials and perennials. Okay. Annuals, biennials and perennials. So annuals means it grows in single growing season. Biennial means the plant lives for 2 growing season, and perennial means it remain forever, more than 3 years. Then these are the common terminologies which we used. Depend on the time and season, there are many terminologies. I will skip that because otherwise you will get confused, because that are not necessary to describe the plants at PG level. Okay. Even upon the habit, the plants are like trees, subproticose type of woody herbaceous plant, lianas, and the shape of the plant also giving them different names. Okay. Now, there are again 3 important terminologies are essential to know while describing the plants. When they काटे म्हटलं की आपण त्याला काय म्हणतो? Some says thorn, some says spine, somebody says prickles. But there are the basic difference between these 3. When we are talking about thorns, thorns are actually derived from, it was thought that it is derived from the stem, or it is an extension of stem. It is an extension of stem, means it is a modification of branch. It is a modification of branch, and that's why actually the thorns are meant for a specific kind of defense mechanism. बोगनवेलिया पाहिला ना तुम्ही? तुम्ही तोडून बघा ते काटे तुटतात का? नाही, because it has a vasculature connected with the stem. It has a vasculature connected with stem. That means it is an extension of stems that we called as thorns. Okay. Then spines. Actually, spines are called as a conversion of or modification of leaves, and that's why many plants having spines on the stem. That means that are a reduced kind of leaves. It is also having the similar vascular bundle which we found in petiole, and most of the spines arise from the place where leaves has to be developed, or the leaves expected to be developed. Okay. So it is extension of leaves, but pickles having no extensions with leaves, with there is no muscular connection between stem and pickles. You can easily cut the pickles from the stem. तुम्ही गुलाबाचे काटे बघितले ना? Likewise that. So as there is no vascular connections, there is that are not the modifications of any existing organ like leaves or stem. So this is the basic difference between thorns, pickles and spines. Okay, see, the pecals are easily detachable, thorns are extension of stem, and the spines are modification of leaves. Okay. Then when we are talking about the leaves, it provides more characteristic features than the stem, because there are different kinds of margin, there are different kind of bases. The vesture, what we call as inundation, means that's a covering. Okay. Then the surface, the tip, everything which is present on and over the leaves are essential to describe. So leaves basically आपल्याला माहिती आहे leaves आपण म्हणतो simple or compound, right? When we are talking about compound leaves, we called it as a leaflet. We called it as a leaflet. What you called the base of leaf, stalkला काय म्हणतात leafच्या? Petiole, right? What you call a stalk of secondary leaflet, secondary leaflet असतील त्याला स्टॉक असेल सपोज, त्याला तुम्ही काय म्हणता? So you never use that terminology at PG level, but that is called as petiolule. That is called as petiolule. Means a stalk of leaf we called it as an petiole, and the stalk of compound leaflet, secondary leaflet, we called it as an petiolule. Okay. See, on the arrangement of leaflet on the rachis, that giving it different terminologies. See, in first, the primary rachis is there. The leaflets directly present on the primary rachis, so that is unipinnately compound leaf. It is called as unipinnate. Here also two type of unipinnately compound leaf, which we called it as an peripinnate or imperipinnate. We also called it as an peripinnate or imperipinnate. See, one unequal leaflet is present at the tip. Here, two equal leaflets are present at the tip. So here, when a primary rachis, this is a secondary rachis, and leaflets present on the secondary rachis, it is called as bipinnately compound leaf. गुलमोहर पाहिला असेल तुम्ही, नसेल तर परत जाऊन बघा एकदा. that is having bipinnately compound leaf. शेवग्याचं झाड किती लोकांनी पाहिलंय? लीफ पाहिले त्याचे कसे आहे? Tripinnately compound. That is tripinnately compound. That means primary rachis, this is secondary rachis, this is tertiary rachis, and leaflet present on tertiary rachis. So that is tripinnately compound leaf. Okay. So that are all live characteristic features. And आपण सहज बघू शकतो. Then the margin of the leaf is also having a unique characteristic features. The margin with widening, gradual winding up and down, that is called as wavy or undulation. Then it is a sinuate, means when the winding is very strongly inward and outward, that is called as sinuate margin, like this. When it is ruffled kind, that means same as in sinuate, but vertical planes instead of that. Here no vertical planes, here vertical planes are there. Then revolute margin means inwardly curved margin. Then incised margin means deep incisions are there. When it is exactly towards the downward direction, that is called retrose. हे बघा वरच्या डायरेक्शन ही आहे, खालच्या डायरेक्शन. So retrose kind of margin, right? Then these three margins we use very popularly in our description, that is crenate, serrates and dentate. कसं लक्षात ठेवायचं? सिरेट क्रिनेट खूपदा आपल्याला सेम वाटतं. कसं लक्षात ठेवायचं? लक्षात असं ठेवायचं की see, the crenate margin means blunt ended margin. Crenate having blunt ends like this, right? C च्या जवळ आहे ना B, असं लक्षात ठेवायचं. C च्या जवळ आहे B, so blunt ended crenate. And serrate means it has a dentation. It has a dentation. Alaksha means it has a pointed structure, pointed incisions. So that is called as serrate. And dentation is as good as serrate. Only dentation when projection is so and having deep angles, that is called as dentate margin. Okay. So likewise that all other type of margins are there, pinnatified margin. Some type of plants, झेंडूचा जर तुम्ही लीफ पाहिलं तर तुम्हाला दुरून बघितल्यावर असं वाटतंय इट्स हॅज अ कंपाऊंड लीफ, बट तुम्ही जर नीट जवळ जाऊन बघितलं तर यू विल फाइंड दॅट मार्जिन ऑलमोस्ट रिचेस अप टू द मिडरिप, but it will not completely cut the midrib and it will not develop into pinna, and that means that is a simple leaf, that is not a compound leaf, that is called as pinnatified. It look like pinna, but that is not forming pinna, so that is pinnatified leaf. So likewise that many other terminologies are there with leaves. Even the positions, we all know that position of leaf आपण हे BSc पासून शिकतो, alternate, opposite, decussate, rosulate, equivalent. Then this is again most important characteristic feature, that is stipule. As bract is present at the base of pedicel, right? Likewise that a small outgrowth present at the base of leaflet, that is petiole. Petioleच्या base ला एक छोटी outgrowth असेल, so that is called as stipule. It is always in pair. Stipules are always in pairs. Okay, and that all stipules, bracts, even the floral parts, all are nothing but that are the extension or modification of leaves. That are the modification of leaves. I will show you later. हे का आपल्याकडे बोर्डवर लिहायचा चौक आहे, याच्यावर लिहिता येतं का? अच्छा, या बोर्डवर लिहिता येत नाही. ओके, ठीक आहे. Then see, it's a ocreate type of stipule. It's a ocreate type of stipule. Okay. Now ocreate type of stipule is a characteristic feature of family Polygonaceae. तुम्ही जर आजूबाजूला काही असे डबके असतील पाण्याचे तर त्यात गुलाबी असे तुरे आल्यासारखे प्लांट दिसतात. So that is polygonum. So that belongs to family Polygonaceae, and this is the characteristic feature of polygonum. Okay, you will find that stipule is a small thin skin like structure and it completely encircled almost the stem at the same time the base of petiole also. So that is called, that membranous structure is called as ocreate type of stipule. We can even identify such type of stipule in spotting. If somebody place a spot of that, you have to identify the type of stipule. Then free lateral stipule तुम्ही जर जास्वंदाचं झाड बघितलं, हिबिस्कस बघितलं, you will easily find the free lateral stipules are there. Then this is interpetiolar stipule. Interpetiolar stipule is again characteristic feature of family Rubiaceae. तुम्ही रुबिएसीचा कुठलाही प्लांट घेतला, तुमच्याकडे रुबिएसीचा पेंटास असेल है ना, गार्डन मध्ये पेंटास असेल, इक्झोरा असेल, तुम्ही आता जाऊन बघायचं त्याला की त्याच्यामध्ये यू विल फाइंड इंटरपिटिओलर स्टिप्यूल, अँड दॅट इज अ कॅरेक्टरिस्टिक फीचर ऑफ दॅट फॅमिली. म्हणजे समजा एखाद्या वेळेस आपल्याला आयडेंटिफिकेशन नसेल होत फॅमिलीचं आणि स्टिप्यूल दिसलं तर ब्लाइंडली यू कॅन से दॅट इट्स अ मेंबर ऑफ फॅमिली रुबिएसी. Then some stipules are, added stipule is a characteristic feature of rose. Then some stipules are modified into tendrils, so that are tendrillous stipules. So in this way, a small thing is there, a small thing stipule, but it has to be identified because it is a characteristic feature of some members or it is a characteristic feature of some families. Then leaf forms त्याच्या सगळ्या डायग्राम्स आपल्या मॉर्फॉलॉजीच्या की मध्ये दिलेल्या असतात. लिनियर, निडल शेप, लॅन्शिओलेट, but you have to first read the terminologies, then only you can easily name that leaf structure. So lanceolate means broad at the base and narrow towards the apex. Ovate means wider near the base. Ovate means widest near the apex, that is called as ovate. A thread like, it is filiform. Okay, both sides are suppose parallel, that is oblong. Both sides are parallel, then it is oblong. Then a small hairy leaves are there, we called it as a subulate leaf. Then acicular means a needle shaped leaf like grasses. So likewise that different other characteristic features are there. Then some leaves are specific kinds, like some are look like a spoon, so that is a spatula like structure, so we called it as a spatulate leaf. If it is we called it as a triangular shape, that is deltoid leaf. If it is tapering at both end, we called it as an rhomboidal leaves. And if it is a bean shaped structure or kidney shaped structure, we called it as a reniform. And when it is circular, we called it as an orbicular leaf. Okay. Likewise, leaf shape, leaf apex is also very much important, because if you visit to any field and if you observe a plant of family Papilionaceae, you will find a small notch at the tip and small hair-like structure at the in between that notch. So that is called as mucronate type of tip. That is called as mucronate type of tip, like this. And this mucronate tip is a characteristic feature of family Papilionaceae. Okay. So different kinds of names are there. This is apiculate leaf, acute leaf, then blunt ended, even spinous leaf. Likewise, that different kinds of terminologies regarding the tip also. So that is also most important. So leaf texture, as I already told you, that each and every part is essential to describe the plant, because leaf texture is the most important characteristic feature while describing it. So if the leaf is hard, it is called as callous leaf. When it look like a cartilage, आपल्या cartilage सारखं जर structure वाटत असेल, it will not easily break, then it is called as cartilaginous leaf. If it is a paper like structure, it is a papery leaf. So likewise that, if it is very sticky, it is called as it is called as viscid leaf. Okay. Then as I already told you, that vesture or covering it most important, because in that language we called it as an hairy plant, smooth plant. Okay. Then if the surface is granularly covered plant, likewise that, it is also a diagnostic character. It is also a diagnostic character, because some plant having a specific kind of trichomes. For example, the plant येलो कलरचं कुठलं प्लांट, आपण क्लिओम पाहिला, तुम्ही क्लिओम बघितलं असेल, तुम्ही हात लावून बघितल्यानंतर तुम्हाला यू विल फील अ स्टिकीनेस तुम्हाला जाणवेल. इट इज बिकॉज ऑफ द ग्लँड्युलर हेअर्स प्रेझेंट ओव्हर द plant. If you observe that plants under the microscope, you can easily observe a pin shaped head over the trichome. So that means the glandular leaves, glandular trichomes are there. Then some leaves are shiny, some leaves are shiny, like varnish, आपण varnish मारल्यावर चकाकतं ना, so that is called as vernicose leaf. That is called as vernicose leaf surface. When a small granules are present over the surface, we called it as an farinose type of leaf surface. We called it as a farinose type of leaf surface. The specific kind of surfaces need to identify. Why? Because it also responsible to describe that specific kind of species. Suppose the plant, we called it as an acanthus. Acantha means thorns. Acantha means thorns. So when it is covered with thorn, we called it as an acantha, species acanthus or acanthus. Okay. Then if barbed bristles are present, हात लावल्याबरोबर जर टोचत असतील ते अगदी हेअरी ब्रिस्टल्स असतील, वी कॉल्ड इट ॲज अन ग्लोचिड. वी कॉल्ड इट ॲज अन ग्लोचिड. देन when it covers with our spines, we call that surface as a spiny surface. Okay. Then when it is hard and pointed surfaces are there, we called it as a muricate. We called it as a muricate surface. See, the different kinds of irregular surfaces are also there. Honeycomb shaped structures if present, honeycomb like surface is present here, it is called as fiolate type of surface. When it is covered with small rounded surfaces, it is called as folliculous type of surface. When somewhat wrinkled surface is there, it is either called as rugose or rugulose, right? So this is a rugulose or rugose kind of surfaces. See, some again specific type of surfaces are there. we never think about such type of surfaces. We only say either it is hairy or glaucous glabrous. एवढंच आपण describe करतो, right? So some surface are papillate. You need to identify, observed under the compound microscope even. Papillate surface, minute nipple-shaped projections are there. Then it is called as either papillate or mammaliform. If it is breast-shaped structure, it is called as mammiform. When a pitedly depressions are there, it is called as pitted surface or punctate surface. So it is also a characteristic feature. When we describe the plant and reach up to the genus or species level, some of the point, a specific characteristic features need to separate the two members from each other, and therefore such type of minute characteristic features are required. See, pustules म्हणजे pimples like structures असेल बघा इथे दिसतंय तुम्हाला pimples like surface असेल, it is called as pustules. Okay, so that also having a different terminologies. Then या सगळ्या terminologies आहेत. Okay, then the surface is covered with some specific kind of hairs or trichomes. So pubescent आपण hairy or pubescent आपण नेहमी वापरतो. So that means it is a hair covered with hairs. Pubescent means a plant completely covered with hairs or trichomes. But there are specific kind of trichomes. There are trichomes are there, but we need to identify the specific kind of trichomes. Suppose the bristly hairs are there, we call it as an hispid. When the hairs are slightly long, hispid but long, we call it as an hirsute hairs. This is called as hirsute hairs. When gray colored hairs are there, which are very soft hairs, we called it as an canescent type of hairs. Okay, so there are different terminologies for only trichomes. See, so these are the, if the hairs are very silky, we called it as an vellus. We called the plant as a vellus. Okay, then if stiff and sharp hairs are there, we called it as an strigos. When there is a bunch of hairs present, clusters of hair present scattered here and there, we call that as a tufted hairs. We call them as a tufted hairs. Okay, see, the trichomes are also a specific kinds. The trichomes are also a specific kinds. When the hairs are look like a star, see, the hairs are look like stars, we called it as an stellate hair. Many members of some family shows a stellate type of hair. Dendroid hairs. Dendroid hairs means a branched hair. Many members of family Solanaceae shows such kind of hairs. Solanaceae member shows dendroid hairs. Then glandular hairs, see the pin-shaped structure. The pin head contain a specific kind of chemicals within it, and it is called as glandular hairs. Some plant having hairs which meant for defense mechanism, so that are stinging hair. If you touch that needle, you will feel irritation because of the chemicals which is filled in that hair. So that is, the hairs are actually meant for protection. It's a defense mechanism of the plant. Then some plants develop a specific kinds of arrangements for symbiotic association. Many plants having a small glands which are actually a home of mites and ants, and that is called as domatia or glands which are present behind the leaf. So that means it's a kind of symbiotic association between plants and animals. So that characteristics, if you find, you need to note down the characters. Okay, so number of other characteristic features regarding the hairs are there. So in many cases, only on the basis of hairs, the keys are prepared. Some plants are described only on the basis of hairs, not on the basis of other characteristic feature. Which kind of hair present? So this and this plant. So here the keys are prepared on the basis of hair structures only. That's why trichomes are important to for description. See, I already told you that inflorescence is one of the very magical structure present inside the plant. This inflorescence are phyletic origin. Why it is called as phyletic origin? See, basically there is terminal flower. Then we all know about the dichasium. Many dichasium is actually dichasium is a cluster of flowers. See letter. See, actually, as already told you that it is a modification of leaves. I already told you that it's a modification of leaves. तुम्ही theories तुम्हाला आता असतील की नाही माहिती तुमच्या syllabus मध्ये, but when it's a leaf structure on which what do you call? त्याला काय म्हणतो आपण? Sporophyll म्हणतो ना, spore bearing leaves. Whether it is microsporophyll or megasporophyll, right? When during the course of evolution, what will happen? The sterile portion of the leaves start to reduce, and the fertile portion come close together like this. As the evolution proceeds, what happened? Again, the sterile portion become reduced, and the fertile portion again start to gather together. Again, as it proceeds, again the sterile portion reduced, and you will find such type of structure in very primitive members like Ananaspermism. You will find such type of anthers in the Ananaspermism. That means from leaf it is modified. Was a theory that anthers are modifications of leaves itself. Okay. Similarly, same thing happened with, and as we proceed further, you will find some of the such type of structures. Even you find such type of structures in some anthers. So that means during the course of evolution, the anthers develop from the leaves. So similarly, all parts of the petals, like petals, it develop into colored structure. It meant for attraction of insects, right? For protection, sepals develop, right? So likewise, that every part of the flower is development or modification of leaves. Similarly, the bracts, bracteoles, stipules, all are nothing but leaves. Okay. Then we all know that त्याला आपण पिटिओल म्हणतो, फ्लावरच्या बेसला पिटिओल म्हणतो. But when it's a kind of, it's a stalk of inflorescence, we called it as a peduncle. Okay. So it has a significance to identify a specific kind of inflorescence, as only on the basis of inflorescence we can just reach up to the conclusion that this and this plant belongs to the family, like Asteraceae, Lamiaceae, right? Then, as I already told you, it's a course of evolution which develop one inflorescence type into another type. So here, see, the basic type, there are two kinds of inflorescence, that is determinate and indeterminate. That is cymose and racemose. So it simply says that when the floral axis stop to grow and it converted into flower, then it is called as cyme. But even after formation of flower, when the floral axis continuously grow, it is called as raceme. These are the basic types, right? And again the intermittent or terminal flower develop into number of branch structures. Further, see dichasial cyme is by reduction converted into monocasial. Dichasial cyme is converted into monocasial. Means see here, मी तुम्हाला इथे दाखवलेलं आहे, dot 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 means when it is in dichasial condition, see, single flower, two buds below, again two buds here. When reduction of this bond takes place and dicasyl is converted into monocasyl condition. So by reduction only this evolution of inflorescence takes place. Like, see, Bhaga. Another kind of evolution also takes place by reduction. Another kind of evolution like scorpioid sign, helicoid sign. Scorpioid sign means what is the rule that it has, suppose one side only the branch is terminated into flower, means it is sign. Suppose from lower side again bud develop, so it terminated into flower. Again bud develop, so it's a zigzag kind of structure develop. Right? So it is which kind of scorpioid sign. But when such type of termination takes place at one direction only like this, it is called as helicoid sign. It is called as helicoid sign. But it all developed because of reduction. It's all developed because of, see this diagram, from dicasyl sign by reduction of few sterile branches, it developed into either helicoid or scorpioid sign, right? So these are the original plants which shows, see, helicoid sign and scorpioid sign. Okay, this is again a scorpioid sign. Then some specific kind of inflorescences also develop by either aggregation or reduction. When dicasyl or compound dicasyl, that means when there are many dicasyl cymes present over the plant, that develop into a specific kind of secondary structures further. See, like umbel. Umbel means aggregation of, or the center point of arising all flowers is same and almost all reaches up to the same height, that is umbel. And it's a umbel kind of inflorescence. It may be a compound umbel also. It may be a compound umbel. Then next is corymb. Now the path of umbel is also again the reduction. The path of umbel is also the reduction. See here, from dicasyl, it become again reduction of accessory and non-accessory branches and all gathered at the one end, that is called as umbel, and from umbel further capitulum develop. From umbel further capitulum develop, again by the reduction of pedicels. By reduction of pedicels, it develop over a one surface, and that's why a capitulum develop. That means the path of evolutions responsible to produce a different kind of inflorescence. Here is the complete structure of evolution, how from one kind of type of the dicasyl other kinds of inflorescences develop. This is a corymb. Here all flowers reaches up to the same height, but the pedicels are present at different points, right? It reaches up to the same height. So this is corymbose type of inflorescence. And from corymbos, the racemose inflorescence develop. See, from corymbos, simple raceme develop, and from simple raceme, when the stalks get reduced, a spike develop. A spike develop means the sessile flowers when present over the axis, that is called as which kind of plants? Spike. Which kind of inflorescence? Spike inflorescence. So this is the corymbose inflorescence, and this is a capitulum inflorescence. I already told you how from umbel the capitulum develop. Now, why there is indeed we all know this, that capitulum having different kinds of florets, ray florets and disc florets. It has a unique kind of anthers, that is syngenesious anther. See here, this is the original photograph of the anther of one of the plant. See, all anthers are fused and filaments are free. Okay. So some other specific kinds of inflorescence are there, like spike inflorescence. Then when sessile flowers are there, we call it as a spike. These are the again specific kind of inflorescence. When the a spike is covered by a specific kind of membranous bracts, it is called as spadix kind of inflorescence. है ना? तुम्ही बघितलं असेल हा inflorescence. तुम्ही मका पण खाता ना? It's a spadix inflorescence, where there are the male and female flowers are present, which completely covered by spathaceous bract, which is completely covered by जे आपण बाजूला करतो, that are the spathe. Okay. Then these are the again specific kind of inflorescence, which is a characteristic feature of no Euphorbiaceae. It's a characteristic feature of genus Euphorbia, because in Euphorbiaceae there are again simple flowers are also there. So this is a characteristic feature of genus Euphorbia, not family Euphorbiaceae. Okay. Even how this cyathium inflorescence develop, it is again developed by reduction. It is again developed by reduction of sterile branches. Means these are nothing but the modifications of again leaves. When some of the leaves get reduced, start gathered together, forming this cup-shaped structure, and these are the flowers. These are not anthers and gynoecium. Why? Because if you observe minutely, you can find here a small notch present on the anther. That means what happened? Like this. Means when during the course of evolution, when suppose this is a branch, it has leaves, sepals, androeciums, gynoecium, and such type of structure. If it is present in the form of inflorescence, what will happen? Suppose या फ्लावर्सचा फक्त काय शिल्लक राहिला? सेपल्स. हे सगळं निघून गेलं. ओके. या फ्लावर मधलं राहिलं शिल्लक गायनोशियम. फक्त गायनोशियम. ओके. बाकी सगळं निघून गेलं. असा एक एक पार्ट्सचा जर फक्त एक एक पार्ट शिल्लक राहिला, so you will find here the gynoecium and this is a notch. Right? So that means it is a flower, it is not a gynoecium. And that's why when it comes close together by reduction again, when it all come close together, you will find this is a cup-shaped structure of involucral bract in which you will find a notch, and then that means it is a pedicel, and this is a structure of peduncle. This is the pedicel, and here you will find gynoecium. And then similarly, some fertile anthers remain here, which we called it as a flower, male flower, and not the anther, because the notch of peduncle presented. Right? So this is the in case of cyathium inflorescence. This is a sleeper-shaped cyathium. See, पेडिलॅन्थस म्हणून आपल्या गार्डन मध्ये असतं प्लांट नेहमी. याचा स्लीपर शेप, स्लीपर सारखा आकार आहे ना, बूट शेप. सो इट इज अ सायथियम, बट इट इज अ स्लीपर शेप सायथियम. ओके. देन हे सगळं आपण बीएससी ला आता शिकलो असल्यामुळे मी इथे थोडं स्किप करते फ्लॉवरचं स्ट्रक्चर. वी ऑल नो दॅट द फ्लॉवर्स आर, हे सगळं आपल्याला माहिती आहे की हायपोगायनस फ्लॉवर, पेरिगायनस फ्लॉवर. यु नो द कॅरेक्टरिस्टिक फीचर, आपण जेव्हा की मध्ये जातो त्याच्यामध्ये तुम्ही जेव्हा बेंथमन हुकरची की फॉलो करता, तुम्हाला लक्षात येतं की लेग्युमिनेसी फॅमिली चे कॅरेक्टरिस्टिक फीचर जेव्हा आपण सेपरेट करतो, सो दॅट शोज पेरिगायनस फ्लॉवर. आपल्याला दिसतच नाही पेरिगायनस फ्लॉवर, बट इट शोज अ स्मॉलर डिप्रेशन्स in which the gynoecium is situated and other accessory parts present, not it just present above the gynoecium, and that's why the flower is perigynous. And therefore in Papilionaceae you have to describe that plants are perigynous, flowers are perigynous. Okay, so these are the very common characters. You all know that the types of estivation. Then These are the shapes of corolla. We all aware about this. किती वेळ आहे माझ्याकडे अजून? किती वाजले? हे पण आपल्याला सगळ्यांना माहिती आहे. ओके, हे मी स्किप करते. हा, ठीक. देन द युनियन ऑफ स्टेमन्स, हे पण आपल्याला सगळ्यांना माहिती आहे. ओके, सो हे मी थोडं स्किप करते. येस, प्लासेंटेशन इज व्हेरी मच इम्पॉर्टंट. प्लासेंटेशन इज व्हेरी मच इम्पॉर्टंट. तुम्ही जेव्हा प्लासेंटेशन ड्रॉ करता तेव्हा व्हाय, आता प्लासेंटेशन मध्ये बघा, ओव्ह्यूल्स ची पोझिशन जिथे असेल तिथून जेव्हा आपण कट मारतो, then and then only we can get a specific kind of placentation. It's also again a evolutionary structure, but when double rows of ovules are present and we take a transverse section, we will get a basal type of placentation. Okay, then when the ovules are arranged over the peripheral region only, and when we take a transverse section, we will get parietal type of placentation. We will get parietal type of placentation. Similarly, when the two or more pistils come close together, placentation is actually based on how much and how much pistils and how they attach with each other. On the basis of that, the types of placentations develop. So abaxial surfaces when fused together, we will get such kind of results of axial placentation. Free central placentation, where the partitions leaving central column, means ovules present at the central column. Okay, तुम्ही हे बघितलं ना मिरची, कोणती ढोबळी मिरची, you will find free central placentation there, है ना? So ovules are attached to the central column like structure. So this is about the different kinds of placentation. We all are basically aware about it. And on the basis of placentation and on the basis of fruits, the many keys are prepared. Now, I'm going to tell you before I end that, जसं मी तुम्हाला सांगितलं की in family Asteraceae, the family identification is very easy, but we need to identify the each and every minute characters up to the anthers. Like you will find two kinds of capitulum in Asteraceae. This is an ageratum and vernonia, where you find all similar type of florets, which we called it as an homogamous. All tubular florets are there. On the basis of that, there are different groups. On the basis of that, there are different groups or tribes are there in the Asteraceae. Then, see, in some plants, you will find single type of florets where all are having petal-like structures. So that is liguliflora, means all florets are ligulate. तुम्ही शेतांमध्ये बघता हे लावनिया आणि सॉन्कस, so that are all ligulate flowers. In some member you will find tubular florets in the center and peripheral ligulate florets. Okay. Now the important characters, as I already told you, that the anthers. See, some anthers having a small apical notch, some anthers having tailed at the base, some anthers having tailed at the base, some anther having a small tip, conical tip at the base, some are blunt ended, some are blunt ended. So these are the minute characters we have to identify while describing the members of family Asteraceae. Okay. See, these are the involucral bracts. खाली तुम्हाला प्रत्येक फ्लावरच्या खाली ह्या ब्रॅक्ट्स दिसतात बघा, है ना? How many layers are there? How they look different from one another? That is also important while describing the genus of members family Asteraceae. See, this is amber boa plant. Here, 1, 2, 3, 6 layers of involucral bracts are there, and all having a spinous tip. All having a spinous tip. So that is a characteristic feature of amber boa plant. This is Parthenium. This is Parthenium, आपला गाजर गवत. So in that Parthenium, you will find only 2 layers of bracts. You will find two layers of leafy bracts. And this is again one of the plant, that is Cromolina, in which you will find four scaly bracts, right? Similarly, in case of family Papilionaceae, we can easily identify the plant on the basis of Papilionous type of corolla, but still for identification up to genus and species level, we need pod and seeds. We need pod and seeds. So this is a member Alicicarpus. It's widely present in everywhere. Okay, so it's a weed kind of plant, and this Alicicarpus is having a specific kinds of pods here. See, याच्यामध्ये बघा, the first plant is Alicicarpus vaginalis, in which you will find a small whitish color patch at the center near the midrib, and the pods are without any notch, a small striations present over the. On the basis of that, you can identify that it is a member of Alicicarpus vaginalis. This is Alicicarpus ovalifolius. This is Alicicarpus monilifer, in which you will find beaded pod. बघा beaded pod आहे. यात आणखीन एक महत्वाचा कॅरेक्टर असा आहे की या पॉडला खाली इथे बघा परमनंट persistent calyx आहे. Okay, so the calyx covered all notches, or it cover only one notch, or it cover complete pod. That is important to note down. Okay, जसं जसं आपण प्लांट डिस्क्राइब करतो आपल्याला कळत जातं की yes, this character is important for this kind of species and genus. Here it is ovalifolious, where you find dimorphic leaf. Some are globose and some are oblong elliptical. So that on the basis of that, the flowers are similar. But on the basis of leaf, we says that it is a ovalifolious. Okay. So here tetragonolobus. This is Alicicarpus tetragonolobus. The flowers are similar. Here also the same flower. Here also the same flower. But the pods are different. See, the pods are different. The pods here is tetragon. त्याला चार कोन असतात. So that's why it is tetragonous. So that means हे दाखवायचा उद्देश एवढाच की here the different kinds of pods and the types of seed is important while describing or identifying the plants, right? That means this identification is just like a puzzle. It is just like a puzzle. You have to put a specific characteristics at everywhere, and when you put a characteristics, it come close together, it will solve the problem and it will reach up to the conclusion that it is a this and this plant. So it's too easy and too interesting to identify the plants. So I think that before I end, I told you that Albert Einstein says that the imagination is more important than knowledge, and I add to that, imagination is important, but you have to go beyond the imagination so that you can reach up to the specific kind of conclusion, and it will definitely a key of success. So with this I will end my topic, and I hope that now you will not consider taxonomy as a board subject. It's a very lively subject, and so thank you very much. Any question?
टॉपिक इज ओपन फॉर डिस्कशन. काही डिफिकल्टी असतील काही विचारायचं असेल तर आपण विचारू शकता.
नाही, त्याचं असं असतं की नो स्टडी नो कन्फ्युजन, मोर स्टडी मोर कन्फ्युजन. तर टॅक्सॉनॉमीची ते आता स्टडी करणार आहेत आणि मग त्यांना त्यातनं काही ना काही डिफिकल्टीज आहेत. बरोबर असं आहे.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for this valuable and very conceptual lecture of yours. We feel every bit proud of being calling ourselves budding taxonomists. So thank you so much for that. Now I request the chairperson, Dr. P.S. Kokate, ma'am, for her presidential address. Please, ma'am.
So, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I pay tribute to Shivaji Maharaj and founder president of our education society, Dr. Punjab Rao alias Bhausaheb Deshmukh. So, today we have with us uh, Dr. Manjusha Wath ma'am, who is presently working as a professor in the Department of Botany at GVISH Amravati, well-known VMV College Amravati. And we are also having here the guest of honor, Miss Badguzar ma'am, Vaishali Badguzar ma'am, who is working as a head of the department in Department of Botany in RLT College, Akola. So we were here from last, I think, 2 hours for the guest lecture, which is organized by the Botanical Association of our department. The students, they take the initiative with the help of the coordinator, Dr. Shubham Rathod sir and Dr. Koche sir. They have guided them, and the Botanical Association take an initiative to organize this guest lecture. I was having just the suggestion who has to call here, because before I leave this department, I have to call Dr. Manjusha ma'am, as she is not only my colleague. She is, though we are having a lot of age difference, but still we are friends of each other. We are having that type of relationship. So and the other reason for that is not the reason why I have to call her. The reason that now you know what was the reason, because now you get the knowledge, a plenty of knowledge from her, and that she acquires not only studying the taxonomy, but she has a lot of hard work. I know that. She was also primarily she was also the budding taxonomist like you, because she has her specialization in molecular. She start the study of taxonomy in detail under the guidance of Bhugaoka ma'am, in collaboration of Dr. Bhugaoka ma'am. She has worked on various projects and with the various topics. So she acquired the knowledge from her. She has this. She got that opportunity to work with her. I feel very jealous about that because I have also worked with Dr. Bhugaoka ma'am, but I got only 1 year to work with her. So I know how much knowledge we can get from Dr. Bhugaoka ma'am, and she has that opportunity. The next thing, what I have to say here is about her lecture. She now you have gone through her guidance and how detailed she has explained each and everything. I also got some ideas cleared here regarding the a reduction in the cymogen fluorescence. I was not so clear about that. So I got, so you people were really very fortunate. At this level, you are getting this knowledge, and I am having that knowledge at the end of my journey. So it's all right. Um, she has explained the detailed differentiation of the vegetative characters like leaf, basically the leaf surface. She has explained it in very detail. Then regarding the stipules, you people, when you go for the description, you people ignore it, isn't it? While you go for the description, you ignore the bracts, stipules, क्या होता है स्टिप्यूल, कौन इतना बारीक देखेगा. But she explained the presence of stipule, type of stipule. They are having their own characteristic to represent the family. For example, she has explained regarding the family Rubiaceae. So stipule structure was there. She has explained the surface of the leaf. You used to tell and write the surface of the leaf is hairy, non-hairy, smooth. That's it. But she has explained today how they are different from one another. When it's silky, when and I also admire the explanation regarding the thorns, spines, and prickles. So it is also having the anatomy. When you have to say that structure as a spine, means you have to do it anatomy. Its vascular bundle is like this stem, then it is fine. So she has explained it in very detail, and the concepts, I think, concepts of your thorn, spine and prickles are now clear. When you remove the spines which were prickles which are present in the roses, that can be easily removed. She told regarding the bougainvillea, you cannot remove it easily. Why? Because they are internally connected with this stem. So these are the very detailed explanation of the taxonomic character regarding the inflorescence. Also, you might have the lot of confusions regarding the inflorescence. मला inflorescence म्हटलं म्हणजे you know only the two, racemose and cymose. What are the details regarding the cythium inflorescence? She has explained. She has explained how the spike inflorescence is evolved from the umbel, how the umbel inflorescence is evolved from the reduction in the branches of uh, inflorescence axis. So lot of detail which you cannot get in any book. You will get just the figures. She has referred the figures from the books, no doubt, but how, and some of the figures she has explained with the dots, how there is the reduction, how there is the evolution in the. So I admire her for her detailed information she has provided to us, ma'am. And you people are really very fortunate. And because taxonomy, angiosperm taxonomy is not only we have to study in the special paper, you have to also study it in the general paper. It is in the MSc 1, it is in the semester system 1, semester 1, and also in the semester 3rd. It is the general paper which you have to study. While all of you are having the advantage of today's lecture, and I am also very gladful and thankful to ma'am being one of the faculty from the botany. Thank you, ma'am. Really, it is appreciable to have you here. So thank you for accepting our invitation and coming here and interacting with our students. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your insightful inputs. I now call upon the dais my colleague, Ms. Ashwini Nair, presenting the vote of thanks. Thank you.
Before the vote of thanks, I must thank Dr. Wath, who told me and teach me A, B, C of the book. Because when I was very new, only just लागली तेव्हा मी माझं मॉलिक्युलर बायोलॉजी खूप फेल होती. आणि मॅडम डायरेक्टर झाल्या आणि मग मॅडमला असं वाटायचं की आता त्याचा आपण काय स्टार्ट केलं कारण मी टॅक्सॉनॉमी शिकायचं ती वेळेला टॅक्सॉनॉमी मला बरेच प्रॅक्टिस झालं आणि मॅडम 2 सब्जेक्ट छापा मिळाले केलेले आणि मग काय आणि मॅडमला एकदा सांगितलं 2 प्लॅन्स दिली मी तुला जाईपर्यंत कॉपी झाल्यानंतर मी मॅडम पायी केबिन पर्यंत जायचं तेवढ्या वेळात मॅडम मला जर कॅरेक्टर समजावून सांगायचं पण मॅडमनी कधीच मला नाव नाही सांगितलं. मॅडम तू माळी आहे का तुला नाव माहिती कशाला पाहिजे नाव शोध नाव माहिती करायचं आम्हाला मला काय सांगायचं अटेंडंट काय म्हणायचं टाकायचं नाव काय नाव सांगितलं की म्हणजे मला असं वाटायचं पोरांसमोर गेल्यानंतर हे ब्रँड आहे असं मला सांगायला मोकळं मॅडम म्हणायचं तू माळी नाही आहेस तुला नाव माहिती करायचं नाही नाव समजून घ्यायचं की याचं हे नाव काय मग मला अशा पद्धतीने हळूहळू मी 2 प्लॅन करून मग घरी जाऊन पुन्हा आपण प्रॅक्टिस करायची उद्या मला प्रॅक्टिकल घ्यायचं आता मला प्रॅक्टिकलचं त्या टॅक्सॉनॉमीचा टी सुद्धा येत नव्हता आणि हळूहळू मग अशा पद्धतीने. आणि आज मला आणखी दोन लोकांची आठवण करावीशी वाटते, ते म्हणजे भिडांगे सर आणि रोटे सर, ज्यांच्या कारकिर्दीत मी बरेचदा प्रॅक्टिकल घ्यायला इथे आली आणि आम्ही खूप छान असा वेळ इथे घालवायचं. मला अकोल्याला प्रॅक्टिकल आलं की छान वाटायचं, म्हणजे असं आपण आपल्या घरी गेल्यासारखं वाटायचं, कारण हे लोक मला, तेव्हा लहान होती आणि हे लोक मला खूप छान ट्रीट करायचे. आज मला त्या दोन लोकांचे पण इथे थँक्स मानायला हवे. रागे सर आला तर नाहीच खरं तर, परंतु सरांच्या काळात सुद्धा मी मला वाटतं बरेचदा प्रॅक्टिकल घ्यायला. थँक्यू.
मला पण एक आठवण छोटीशी झालेली आहे. माझं स्पेशलायझेशन मला जरा वाटतं मायकॉलॉजी, माझं स्पेशलायझेशन होतं टॅक्सॉनॉमी. मी आतापर्यंत सांगितलं नाही, आम्हाला माहित होतं. नाही सांगितलं. हा, आणि टॅक्सॉनॉमी मध्ये आपल्या मॅडमने सांगितलेलं आहे, प्रोफेसर आहे, रागे सर आहे आणि ढोरे सर आणि भुगावकर मॅडम.
मी ढोरे सरांनी मला फर्स्ट इयरला शिकवलं आणि मग फर्स्ट इयरला शिकवल्यानंतर मला सरांनी मायक्रोलॉजी शिकवलं, पण आम्हाला त्यावेळेस सेकंड इयरला हा नाही फर्स्ट इयरला टॅक्सॉनॉमी सेकंड इयरला होतं. फर्स्ट इयरला मायक्रोलॉजी आम्हाला शिकवलं सरांनी. मग सरांची डेथ झाली आणि मला सेकंड इयरला सरांच्या नावाचं पहिलं गोल्ड मेडल मिळालं, ज्याचा मला नावाचं पहिलं मेडल जेव्हा विद्यापीठात स्टार्ट झालं तेव्हा ते मला मिळालं.
ची स्टुडंट राहिली, न्यूट्रिशनची स्टुडंट राहिली, त्याच्यामुळे मला ह्या सगळ्यांचा अनुभव आलेला आहे. टॅक्सॉनॉमी मला तेव्हा नव्हतं वाटत, पण आता इंटरेस्टिंग टर्मिनॉलॉजी जे आहे त्या क्लिअर झालेल्या आहे. आणखी याच्यामधनं मी हे पण सांगत आहे, ज्यांचं स्पेशलायझेशन मायकॉलॉजी आहे, तर फर्स्ट इयर आणि सेकंड इयर सारे स्टुडंट जे आहेत त्याच्यामध्ये एक क्वेश्चन येतो, तो लॉटायचा क्वेश्चन डिफेन्स मेकॅनिझम. आणि मॅडम जे सांगितले हेअर्स आहे, बोन्स आहे, दे आर द डिफरन्स दॅट इज यूज इन डिफेन्स मेकॅनिझम. जे मॅडमने एक्सप्लेन केलेलं आहे त्याच्यावर लॉटायचं क्वेश्चन दरवर्षी राहतात. आणि एक टॅक्सॉनॉमीचाच जो पार्ट आहे तो तुम्हाला इथे वापरता येईल. मॅडमने खूप छान फोटोग्राफी प्रेझेंटेशन मध्ये आपल्याला ते समजून सांगितलेलं आहे. तो जो पार्ट आहे तुम्हाला, तो याच्यावरून मी तुम्हाला क्लिअर झाला असावा. एक मिनिट मी पण केली. व्हेरी गुड आफ्टरनून टू ऑल ऑफ यू. मला सुद्धा इथे खूप मी मॅडमचं धन्यवाद मानते. कोकाटे मॅडमनी आम्हाला इन्व्हाइट केलं आणि अशा कोलॅबोरेटिव्ह ऍक्टिव्हिटीज नेहमीच विद्यार्थ्यांना निश्चितच फायद्याच्या आहेत. इथे वाट मॅडमनी आपल्याला जे टॅक्सॉनॉमी पूर्ण म्हणजे डिटेल एक ग्लान्स मध्ये विदिन 1 hour वी आर लर्न टॅक्सॉनॉमी. मी इथली स्टुडंट आहे, मला सांगायला आवडेल माझं पीजी आफ्टर मॅरेज इथे केलेलं आहे. माझ्या या कॉलेजशी नाव जुळलेलं आहे आणि मी उपाध्याय सर, महादेव सर आणि मोठे सर यांच्या मार्गदर्शनाखाली माझं स्पेशलायझेशन टॅक्सॉनॉमीच होतं. आणि आज मंजुषा मॅडमनी पूर्ण जो क्लिअर जो टॅक्सॉनॉमी म्हणजे जे आहे विद्यार्थ्यांना भीती वाटते किंवा जे काय वाटतं ते दूर केलेले आहे. आणि असेच कार्यक्रम किंवा असेच लेक्चर्स विद्यार्थ्यांसाठी व्हावे आणि कोलॅबोरेशन मध्ये मी माझ्या पुन्हा इन्व्हाइट करेल की IIT कॉलेजला सुद्धा मॅडम तुम्ही वेळ द्यावा फ्युचरमध्ये. थँक्यू व्हेरी मच.
Good afternoon. It's a great privilege and honor to propose a vote of thanks on this auspicious occasion. Let me first of all start by giving a glory to the Almighty God for making this event resounding and success. First of all, I would like to give my hearty vote of thanks to our principal, Dr. A.L. Kullard sir, for giving us permission to organize this function. Thank you, sir. I would like to thank chairperson of today's function, our beloved HOD ma'am, Dr. P.S. Kokate madam, for the valuable contribution and guidance and encouragement in all the efforts. Thank you, madam. I would like to thank resource person and chief guest of today's function, Dr. Wath madam, for enlightening us and making this learning process interesting and joyous. Thank you, ma'am. Let, Last but not a least, I want to extend a vote of thanks to our respected teachers, Dr. Koche sir, Dr. P.S. Patil ma'am, and all the teaching staffs for making this event happen and a beautiful. Further, a big thanks to Master of this ceremony, Mr. Jayesh Lagat, for the effort towards anchoring of today's function. Also, I can't overlook the effort of our students who gave their last week work dedicatedly for this event. Once again, I want to thank you all for the attention. Have a nice day. Thank you.